After about 8 years, it is time for a referendum on the Me Too movement in Harvey Weinstein's retrial. Last year, his New York State convictions were overturned because a judge ruled there were prejudices in the court. And I think that's mainly because they didn't just bring in witnesses who accused Harvey Weinstein of crimes against them. They also added character witnesses who had their own personal experiences with Harvey Weinstein, however dubious those stories may be. And it was only in an effort to bias the judge and bias the jury. And now that is why he is starting a retrial this month. It is going to be expected to be 4 to 5 weeks going through April and May. And I should say the stakes are relatively low, because even if Harvey Weinstein gets exonerated of his New York State crimes...
He's not getting out of jail.
He's not getting out of jail because of his convictions in his Los Angeles trial. Maybe his lawyer's next plan is to go after those claims and appeal those claims. But it's unlikely that Harvey Weinstein is going to die anywhere but a jail cell. Currently, he's at Rikers Island. His health is deteriorating really badly. He's already been diagnosed with leukemia. They say he's struggling with tongue inflammation right now.
I'm sorry, but the funniest part about it is his glasses are comically crooked in every photo of him.
He does look quite disheveled, doesn't he?
As somebody who's consistently had glasses that causes a problem, the struggle is real, even for creepy Hollywood abusers.
He's disheveled, but he is in surprisingly good spirits despite living in squalor with all of these health problems plaguing him, because it looks like the court of public opinion is still undecided. In fact, some people are now identifying themselves as Harvey Weinstein truthers. They're supporting him and looking into the details of this case, saying these testimonies don't hold up. It was this time in the culture where, of course, you had to believe all women, and Harvey Weinstein is the sacrificial lamb of the Me Too movement. I always said maybe the Me Too movement didn't go far enough, because there are still all of these predators in Hollywood, especially against children, who were not convicted or called out anyway publicly. And Harvey Weinstein, who was accused of basically casting couch, is in prison and probably going to die there because of it. But Variety is quoting his lawyers and other people involved who are saying that because the Me Too movement is officially dead and people no longer believe all women, this is a real chance that Harvey Weinstein could gain public favor back after all. Harvey Weinstein will face his third criminal trial this week in what is seen as the latest referendum on the Me Too movement, which began with his disgrace nearly 8 years ago. He's been incarcerated since 2020 on counts of rape and sexual assault, but the highest court in New York vacated his conviction last year and ordered a retrial. His defense team now hopes that a different judge and a changing political climate give them a chance at an acquittal. Jennifer Bonjean, one of his attorneys, says it's going to be a very different trial. The mob mentality that was so pronounced at his first trial has subsided. He's going to have the trial that he should have had all along.
The thing I find most interesting about that, if I'm being completely honest, is also that it shouldn't matter, but public tensions and the time period in which a trial take place absolutely matter.
Yeah.
Theoretically, it shouldn't, because the letter of the law should be the letter of the law, but that's not how the real world works. So that has always been very, very interesting to me, because you'd like to think that in a perfect world, we'd believe that we have a criminal justice system. It's not perfect, but what the West has is about as good as you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that you would think that we would have found a way to get past something like that, but you can't. You can't get past the tone of the world. Like, it's like when people go back and re-examine the OJ trial and they talk about what that meant for the culture at the time. And what's weird is, like, people look back at that now, and back at that time, people still said that race relations in America were better during the OJ trial than they were for than they were during, say,
Derek
George Floyd.
Chauvin, yeah.
But at the same time, then those same people said that the OJ's acquittal was a direct response to, what was it, Rodney King.
Yeah.
So it matters.
Right,
And it's shocking.
Members of the jury are just people at the end of the day, and they are influenced by those around them and by social media the same way we all are. And I imagine that they were getting swept up in the Me Too witch hunt when they were evaluating this case. They say the most obvious difference between his trial in 2020 and the retrial will be the number of accusers. At the first one, he faced testimony from 6 women, 3 whose allegations formed the basis of the charges, and 3 more to lend credibility and establish a pattern of his misconduct. So the 3 witnesses they brought in as basically character witnesses were only there to tell a personal story. They were not responsible for providing any evidence of what happened to them.
And what evidence would exist 20 years later unless, someone had a rape kit run?
Right.
Like, I'm genuinely asking that question. Like, I said to you when we were prepping this segment, they were like, they argued one thing, the defense argued another thing unsuccessfully. I'm like, so one side gave one story, another side gave another story. And since evidence isn't really something that seems, I guess, outside of digital communication of some sort, there's not going to be physical evidence for something like this.
Only proving that they were in the same place at the same time as possible, basically, if all of this happened behind closed doors.
Yep.
So the 3 accusers that are going to testify at the retrial include Miriam Haley, who goes by Mimi Haley, Jessica Mann, and still an anonymous woman known only as CW3. But just to point out the absolute ridiculous nature of the character witnesses, I want to tell the story of one of them that testified at the trial in 2020 named Tyrell Wolf.
Okay.
So this is her story. Wolf, an aspiring actress, met Weinstein in 2005 while working as a cocktail waitress at an exclusive club. He was friends with the owner, and she alleges that one of her nights working at this club, Weinstein pulled her by the arm into the hall and up onto a private roof terrace as her manager closed the door despite her expressing distress to him. What that probably means to a woman is giving him a look that's like, okay, so I don't know if it was clear to her manager that she felt she was in danger. Weinstein, according to her story, then masturbated in front of her until she ran away and switched tables with another waitress for the rest of the night.
Pulled the old Louis C.K. on her.
Here's where shit gets crazy, right? I don't know anything about how they exchanged contact info. How do they even know each other? But this is the next part. Hoping for a big break, Wolf set up a meeting with Harvey Weinstein.
So this chronologically takes place after the masturbation.
After the incident.
Okay.
Yes. Set up a meeting, and later, pay attention to the grammatical phrasing, by the way. This is all in the passive voice. She later was taken by car to his apartment.
So she did not drive a car. She did not order a car.
Did you get in a car with him? Okay. She was taken by car. That makes it sound like she was kidnapped. This is the next sentence. She found herself in his bedroom. Oh, I just randomly materialized here in Harvey Weinstein's bedroom. And soon she had the full weight of Harvey Weinstein on top of her. She never spoke to him after the alleged assault and never told anyone about it. She simply did what she learned to do as a child. According to her defense, she tried to forget and move on, put on a brave face and pretend that nothing happened.
What I find weird about that language is that it doesn't make the assault, if it happened, any less horrific if you say, I went to his hotel room. It's still an assault. It's still something that shouldn't happen. Mm-hmm. But what they're doing is they're softening the language so that you don't feel as if they made a decision to put themselves in that position. That doesn't make the assault okay.
Right.
But they're trying to muddy the logic around how you'll perceive the incident.
Right, exactly. And there were so many accusers, I think close to 100 accusers of Harvey Weinstein by the time it was all said and done. And once you get to that level of media saturation, we're not looking at the details anymore. And understandably, still, people see him as a monster. Personally, I'm not going to lose any sleep over Harvey Weinstein rotting in jail for the rest of his life, even if he is criminally innocent of these allegations. Because, you know, you play stupid games and win stupid prizes. This guy is obviously incredibly immoral, lecherous, disgusting, perverted, and he was also cheating on his wife, not to mention. I don't even know if people care about things like that these days. But the defense argument is the same as the first time around, saying, yes, he was cheating on his wife. Yes, he was a bad guy for doing that, but he was having consensual affairs with these women. Mm-hmm. So now I think it's interesting that Harvey Weinstein and his legal team are seizing the social media conversation around Me Too right now, especially in regard to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. In fact, Harvey Weinstein has now inserted himself into the Baldoni and Blake Lively lawsuit because the same journalist at New York Times, Megan Twohey, authored the expose on Harvey Weinstein, as well as the Justin Baldoni expose, which was allegedly colluded between her and Blake Lively's team. The same one, Megan Twohey, who was played by, I believe, Carey Mulligan in the movie about all of this. She's a star, right? And she's searching for the next story, and it was Justin Baldoni. So Harvey Weinstein decided to enter the ring, and he gave a statement to TMZ about the New York Times, saying, watching Justin Baldoni take legal actions against the New York Times and its reporters, accusing them of manipulating communications and ignoring evidence that countered Blake Lively's claims, hit me hard. It brought back everything I experienced when the Times reported on me in 2017. They did the same thing, cherry-picked what fit their story and ignored critical context and facts that could have challenged their narrative. I should have stood up and fought back then. I should have had the courage to speak out against the way the truth was twisted. That failure still haunts me. I'll be watching this case closely. It matters to anyone who's ever been on the receiving end of a media takedown, and even more to someone who's had to pay a high legal price. I'm imagining that Justin Baldoni wants nothing to do with Harvey Weinstein.
It was like what I say the other day. It's like when Diddy said to Kanye, like, hey, man, thanks for this. And it's like, that person's probably just like, maybe just don't shout me out.
Yeah, like, I don't want to be associated with you. Like, yeah, it's not a good thing for Baldoni's case that Harvey Weinstein is basically saying that they're brothers in arms against the New York Times. But interestingly, because Candace Owens has been covering the Baldoni lawsuit so heavily, she's also taken an interest in Harvey Weinstein and the claims made against him and started this series called Harvey Speaks on her channel. And I've been watching it up until it went on a brief hiatus. I haven't paid attention to a lot of the details, but I find it very interesting to go into the communications between Harvey Weinstein and his accusers, because you can tell by their emails they're exchanging between them. There's this flirty connotation to it all, and it's not something that the general public was aware of. They were basically glorified sugar babies using him for professional connections, and he was using them for sex. It's very transparently a one-for-one exchange. It's a quid pro quo. But the Hollywood Reporter said Candace Owens' latest crusade is exonerating Harvey Weinstein. The far-right and vociferous anti-Me Too commentator said she has been talking to Harvey Weinstein for years. And that's what I was surprised to hear. I'm not surprised she would take an interest in Harvey Weinstein's case, but the fact that she was talking to him since early 2022 and hadn't gone public with that until very recently. I'm just imagining Harvey Weinstein like on the prison phone at Rikers Island talking to her, and he has the nerve to accuse her and say, why are you supporting Kanye West? He's anti-Semitic.
She's like,
you're Harvey Weinstein, dude. Like, you're gonna get on a moral high ground right now?
She's like, I'm comfortable with being judged by you.
I just found that amusing. Yeah. But nevertheless, Weinstein is still following the commentary about his case from Candace Owens, as well as Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan is watching the series as well. And he talked about it on his podcast last month, saying he was persuaded to see these allegations in a different light. He said, I can't believe I'm on Harvey Weinstein's side. I thought he was guilty of these heinous crimes. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. If this happened in the 80s, they probably would have thrown it out, but in the Me Too movement, it was a witch hunt. So Joe Rogan, the most famous podcaster in the world, is also on Harvey Weinstein's side and has the power to shift public opinion on him. Harvey Weinstein, at a recent hearing in court, gave a public thank you to the both of them, saying, I want to take a moment to sincerely thank Candace Owens for believing in me and helping me reach millions of new supporters, and to Joe Rogan for amplifying that support even further. I'm going through a tough time right now. My health is not in a good place and the road ahead looks challenging, but the outpouring of encouragement has truly lifted my spirits. I'm holding on to hope, and I believe it's going to help carry me through.
I wonder if Joe Rogan's thinking like, bro, just because I don't think that these things necessarily are something you did doesn't mean I think you're a good person. Yeah. And I'm not here to support you.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like Candace Owens has been very clear about finding Harvey Weinstein detestable, morally speaking. She just is saying that she doesn't believe he was criminally liable for these allegations.
Yeah. Like, not to say that, you know, trading sexual favors for roles in movies, or not even roles in movies, but the potential,
the promise of
maybe getting a role
road.
in a movie. Nobody's saying that that's moral. He's just saying that he doesn't necessarily believe the legal case against him.
Yeah.
But then you're tarred with the same brush if then that person's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for supporting me. He's like, bro, I'm not supporting you. I'm saying the case against you is weak.
But I can think of a more compelling reason for the public to see Harvey Weinstein in a new favorable light. People are noticing that ever since Harvey Weinstein was ousted from his position of power in Hollywood, it seems like all these actresses are just not hot. They're not hot anymore. He was gatekeeping the industry and making sure all the actresses were hot smoke shows. And now you have the likes of the women in this collage: Bella Ramsey, Zendaya without makeup, Florence Pugh, and the formerly known as Elliot Page. They're saying, say what you will, but this shit never happened on Harvey Weinstein's watch.
I mean, this just shows you how internet brained the world is now. Like, people don't perceive whether what they're saying is good, bad, or insensitive. They're just like, look, I'm just saying I noticed this.
And then there was this meme of like the dam of ugly bitches. Harvey Weinstein got ousted, and then it was just game over for Hollywood. And then another said, we owe Harvey Weinstein an apology. Another one said, there weren't all these ethnically ambiguous, ugly AF actors like Zendaya when Harvey Weinstein was in Hollywood.
Do you think that's what it was? Was it because of Harvey Weinstein, or do you think the culture was just shifting that way?
Yeah, I don't think that he would have survived in Hollywood regardless of whether the Me Too movement popped off, because things were already trending in that direction.
Oh, I disagree. I think at his level of a producer, I think that he could have, at the very least, shaped the culture around the movies he's making.
Okay, yeah.
He was funding. This is not a guy starring or writing the movies. This is the dude who's responsible for telling you who's going to be in them.
I don't think he was going to get away with the casting couch forever, is what I mean.
No, but casting only women that look a certain way? Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you think that these memes actually have a seed of truth?
No, I think the culture would have changed that way anyways. I think he would have operated in one corner where the people in his movies. It's like when they would make the jokes about the CW. Like, why does everybody in the CW have to be a ridiculously attractive? Like, they're comically attractive. You know, it's like it's supposed to be a normal person, but they look like a supermodel. Illusion. Yeah, it breaks the illusion. That was just what it was on that network. And I think that if he was never accused of these things, that he would have just continued to hire those people in those roles.
It has to depend on the genre, right?
Yeah.
I also was neglecting to mention one detail of these allegations. So it got to a point where there were so many accusers that they had to just narrow down who has even met Harvey Weinstein before.
To make sure that it wasn't just, yeah.
Who has even met this guy? Who has even had sex with this guy, let alone whether it was consensual? And one way that Harvey Weinstein's lawyers narrowed down the pool of accusers was asking them about Harvey Weinstein's genitals. What do they look like?
I remember that.
And many of the women who did see his genitals reported that they were hermaphroditic in nature, that they were disgusting looking, mangled in some way. And that is in fact true, because I believe in the 80s, Harvey Weinstein suffered gangrene on his testicles. I can't imagine how that's possible, but it was a freak accident and he had to seek medical attention. What happened was they removed his testicles and sewed them into his upper thigh. So
I was so much happier before you described all this.
All of these women who were making accusations about him forcing them to do anything related to his testicles were proven to be liars because he doesn't have any.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.